Hello, guys. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
And please, I hope each and every one of you is fine.
Yes.
That
Yes,
is
sir.
great.
We are doing
That is great. Um, Last Monday, we started our March 2026 diet, the lectures, and then God being so good, we've been able to capture 10 marks of our syllabus. That is the conceptual framework. So if you're supposed to get conceptual framework in your exams, you are going to get a conceptual framework of 10 marks. With the help of your facilitator, that is me, you've been able to go through some of the past questions where you've come to realize how the questions are being set. So at the end of the day, we came up saying that the conceptual framework is what? 8 chapters, right? So with the 8 chapters, you have to know everything. It's either you know all the 8 chapters because they're going to ask you the 8 chapters, or you are going to be given a particular chapter for you to answer. Today, what we are going to do is 20 marks, but we are picking an aspect of it. I think one person also joined. Let me see. Mr. Osman, are you joining with 2 machines?
Yeah, my laptop. The phone has. I'm
Okay.
using the laptop on the phone.
Okay, sure.
Anyone that I get.
All right.
Let me off one of them.
No problem. Oh, no problem. You can be on the call. No problem. So today, what we are going to do is also, I am expecting one lady to be on the call, but not on the call. Let me send a message to the page. What we are going to do today is 20 marks, but we are going to take 10 marks out of it and then we discuss. I hope you understand. We are going to take 10 marks out of it and then we discuss. So let us start the class. We are going to look at governance in the public sector. Governance in the public sector. From the conceptual framework, we realized that we were talking about uses of financial statement, general purpose financial statement. Now, when we talk about governance in the public sector, we are looking at the processes by which an organization is supposed to be directed, controlled, and held accountable. So the president alone cannot perform all the functions. So what will happen is that the president will assign some people. The president will assign some people for them to take over the public sector entities. So we are looking at how those people direct the organizations that they control, how those people are also being held accountable. So with governance in the public sector, we are looking at how an organization is directed, managed, and held accountable. So you realize that the ongoing PAC meeting or the Public Account Committee sanctions or discussion that is going on, you realize that we are looking at the governance of what? The organization, how those entities report their financial statements. We are holding them accountable for what they are doing. Do you understand? That is governance. We are looking at how the organization is being directed. What are you supposed to do? What are the systematic procedures you are supposed to follow to come up with something? How is the organization supposed to be controlled? Whom are you supposed to? Are you supposed to report to the DCE? Are you supposed to report to the MP? We are looking at how the entity is being controlled, managed, directed, and held accountable. So that is governance. In the public sector, we have good governance and bad governance. Now, the main objective of public sector entity is to provide efficient service delivery, to deliver efficient services the public or to the citizens. So that is the main objective of a public sector entity. When we start the PFM cycle, we are going to talk about public sector entity, covered entities, and those things. So you come to understand what you are trying to talk about. Now, when we say good governance is that side of governance that we intend to ensure that the goals of an organization is achieved. Not only an organization, but a public sector entity. The goal of a public sector entity is what is achieved. So if we say good governance, it means that it is the means by which the objectives of an organization are being what achieved. And then with the bad governance, we are looking at the opposite side of what? Good governance. So with the bad governance, it means that there are those that do not conform with the achievement of the stated objectives of the entity. Please, are we okay? Can we proceed?
Yes, yes, yes.
So we have the general definition for governance and then definition for public sector governance. So the public sector governance, we are just looking at the processes, the structures, the mechanisms through which a public sector entity or a public sector organization is being managed, directed, and held accountable for their actions and inactions or decisions. So you realize that the definition for governance is what you repeated here, just that with the public sector entity or the public sector governance, we are looking at how a public sector organization or how a public sector entity is being managed, directed, controlled, and held accountable. Now, it encompasses the principles, practice, and framework that guide the conduct of public officials, ensuring transparency, upholding integrity, and promote the efficient and effective use of public resources. So we are saying that once we put in or we establish structures, mechanisms through which an organization is directed and controlled, and then the organization is also held accountable, we are going to ensure integrity. That is, the entity is going to be straightforward. Once we have mechanisms in place to ensure that the organization is being directed well, there is going to be some sort of integrity. There is going to be a transparency in the public sector entity. And it is also going to ensure that the promotion of efficient service delivery of promotion of efficient use of public resources is also achieved. So that is that. So as indicated earlier, we have good governance and bad governance. So good governance, we are saying that they are the ones that ensures that the goals of the organization, the public sector organizations, achieved. And we stated earlier that the goal of every public sector entity is to provide efficient service delivery to the public or to the citizen. So that is that. And then this one is vice versa. Can you hear me? My network is unstable. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So that is that for the bad and then good governance. So in the examination, they can ask you the definition for corporate governance in the public sector. They can also ask you about what is the difference, distinguish between good governance and then bad governance in the public sector. So all what you have to say is that good governance is that part of governance or system where it ensures that the goals of a public sector organization is achieved. And then bad governance is that does not ensure that the goals of the public sector entity is achieved. With good governance, it ensures transparency, it upholds to integrity, and it promotes efficient service delivery. Whereas the bad governance does not ensure transparency and it does not also lead to integrity. There is also not going to be efficient service delivery or efficient use of public resources under the bad governance. Can we proceed?
Yes.
When you take the public sector entity, if whatever you are going to do now, we are relating it to good governance. So if you take the public sector entity and the practices there are very good. So the aspect that you're going to talk about is the good governance. So when you take a public sector entity, what are some of the elements that when you see, you will say that this entity is of good governance? So we have elements of governance in the public sector entity, elements of governance in the public sector entity. There are plenty, there are many, but with Flourish Professional Institute, what we do is that we end up coming up with acronyms. We end up coming up with acronyms that will help you remember the elements. That will help you remember the elements. That will help you remember the elements. So last night, what happened is that the student came up with acronyms. Sometimes we, the institute, will also come up with acronyms, an acronym for you to remember. So let us gather together, let us come together and then use the keywords. We form acronyms for us to remember. So let me first explain the element for you to understand. As we are explaining the element, you come up with an acronym that will help you remember the elements of good governance in the public sector. So we have rule of law. So rule of law, we are saying that if the entity is good, if it is of good governance, then it means that the entity is supposed to adhere to fundamental rules and regulations that governs the entity. The entity is supposed to follow the legal principles and then the due processes. So you realize that yesterday ICAG came up with list of firms that they have sanctioned, right? List of firms that they have sanctioned. So if the entity is good, it means that the entity is supposed to what? Is supposed to come up with, or the entity is supposed to follow, how do you call it? The entity is supposed to follow due process. The entity is supposed to follow legal principles to ensure that everything is in place. So one element is what? Rule of law.
Oh.
One element is rule of law. Another one is transparency. Transparency, we are talking about openness and accessibility of government information. So you see what is going on. PAC will say that bring this document or publish this document for everyone to see. So when you go to the Ministry of Finance, at the end of the day, you see the budget guidelines and everything being published on their website. It means transparency. You are becoming open and then you are giving access to government information. You want the public to have access to whatever is going on. So the just ended budget that they read, today's budget, you realize that at the end of the day, a copy is being issued, that is transparency. They've given access to every citizen to have a copy of what the budget hearing. Do we understand?
Yes.
So transparency entails openness and accessibility of government information, decisions and processes in the public. Transparent governance practices enable government to hold government officials accountable, contribute to informed decision-making, and build trust in public institutions. So you realize that once the Minister of Finance has issued that PDF out, people will go and then deliberate on it. They will deliberate on it. They will deliberate on it. We have accountability. So accountability is holding someone accountable for the decision that the person has taken. So PAC, ECG, where is the money? We have not approved your budget. So why did you spend the money? You are holding the person in charge accountable. Come and answer to the reason why you spent this amount. Mr. Osman, why is it
Yes,
that
sir.
you gave your wife 50,000 Ghana cedis to establish a business? At the end of the day, your wife is saying that there are losses. You hold your wife accountable. Everything that you bought, everything that you spent money on, come and then give me account on that. I've given you 2,000 cedis for chop money. And then in the second week, you are saying that the amount is finished. Come and tell me the amount you spend on soup, the amount you spend on electricity, the amount you spend on the children feeding. That is, you are holding the person, the public officials, accountable for their actions and inactions. And then bear in mind that they do that by the use of public resources. So they are supposed to come and give answers to the use of public resources, why they spent that very amount, why they decided to not go according to the budget, but according to their own judgment. Do you understand?
Yes, please.
And then we have participation. So participation, we are saying that in the public sector, for you to be a good governance sector or entity, you are supposed to ensure that you bring all stakeholders on board when you are making decisions. So if it is an auditing firm, you are supposed to ensure that before you go for audit, you bring the intended auditors, those that they are going to work on the job, you bring them together, you ensure that they all come and then give their point. Let them come up and then say that this is what I think if you do, it is going to help. So you bring all stakeholders together. You bring people from the parliament, you bring people from the lenders association, you bring people from donor supporters. You involve everyone, all the stakeholders that they are going to be affected by the decisions of what the entity or the account of the entity. You bring them on board to participate in decision making. Do you understand?
Yes, please.
And then we have fairness and equity. If it is 50%, let's share it 50%. So good governance emphasizes fairness and equity in distribution resources, opportunities, and services. So you realize that they are doing military recruitment. There should be fairness and equity. If you are recruiting as a public sector entity, for you to be governed, for us to say that your governance practices are good, you are supposed to be fair. Don't be biased when you are distributing resources. Take 10%, give it to the northern part of Ghana. Take 10%, give it to Greater Accra. If you are saying that you're going to employ people, take female, take males. I hope you understand. Don't be
Yes.
gender biased. Ensure that opportunities are shared fairly and equally. And then you also provide services. If you are saying that you are the Minister of Roads and Highway, you are going to come up with rules. You know that Kumasi Road is no good. They are also constructing Accra to or Kaswa to Takoradi Road. If it is resources, you are supposed to share resources to these diverse areas. Don't say that because Accra to Takoradi Road is dusty, let me send all the resources there. No, it is not that way. Send the resources that are being deemed by the Takoradi Road. Send resources that are being deemed by what the Accra Road. I hope you understand. So fairness
Yes.
and equity in distribution of opportunity, services, programs, and everything. Social interventions. Everything is supposed to be what? Fair. There should be equity. And then effectiveness and efficiency. So you are supposed to ensure that you use the optimum resources at their least cost. I hope you understand. In delivery of your services, you provide high quality services at 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 a cost that is very minimal. By the end of the day, the services that you're going to provide to the people are of quality. I hope you understand. And ethical conduct. Ethical conduct, you know the code of ethics for ICAG. The same thing applies to the public sector. So for someone to say that the governance of ECG is good, it means that ECG is supposed to have some ethical guidelines that will say that the employees are supposed to follow. When you come to ICAD, don't accept bribe. That is integrity. Be straightforward. Be honest in all your dealings. Don't behave unethically. So there should be ethical guidelines or code of conduct that guides the practices of that entity. I hope you understand. That is ethical conduct. So the public officials are supposed to ensure that they uphold to those standards, standards of integrity, standards of honesty, standards of professionalism. They are supposed to uphold to those what ethical standards and ethical guidelines. So you realize that you repeated the ethical guidelines they say 2 times. So that's that. And then we have strategic vision and planning, we have risk management, and then you have continuous improvement. Continuous improvement, you are saying that you should monitor your progress, you should do evaluation, and then you provide training. You ensure that there is ongoing learning in the organization. If there is a need for you to give your employees learning, you put them under training so that the organization becomes very good. So everything that you have discussed here is element of good governance, elements of good governance. Now, an acronym that I can give, is going to be called Part F. Part F. Part F. Part F. Part F. I'm coming. Let's see something. Part F. Okay, let me Part F. Part F. Now, Part F. Let's see if you can come up with something. So we have participation, accountability, rule of law, transparency, fairness and equity. Do you understand now?
Yes.
Have you seen that at the end of the day, you have come up with an acronym that is going to help you remember element. This alone is element of what? Element of good governance. So once you have part F on your mind, and then you go to exams, you know that part F is in relation to what? It's in relation to what? Element of good governance. So once you go and you have element of good governance in the question, that is all. You are good to go. You remember your part F. That is all. So part, what does the P stand for? Participation. What is the meaning of participation? For you to be a good governance entity, or one element of good governance is to ensure that all stakeholders are brought on board in terms of what decision making. Simple. Do you understand?
Yes.
We have accountability. Accountability. For you to be a good corporate entity, what is the meaning of accountability? Meaning you are supposed to hold people accountable for their actions and inactions. I hope you understand. We also have what? The R. What is the meaning of R? Rule of law. We have transparency. What is the meaning of transparency? We have F. What is the meaning of F? Fairness and equity, or equity and fairness. Please, you understand? So you realize that if this part alone is supposed to come, the acronym, which is part F, has given you 10 marks from this side. Do you agree? Do you agree? Because the maximum they can ask you is 5. The maximum they can ask you is what? Is 5. The maximum they can ask you is what? Is 5. So can we also come up with another keyword? Can we come up with another keyword? Mr. Osman, can we come up with an acronym? Mr. Humphrey, can you come up with an acronym? Tina, please, how are you?
Please, I'm fine, thank you.
Did you meet the beginning of the class? Did you come to meet the beginning of the
No,
class?
no,
Okay.
please.
Mr. Albert, how are you?
I'm fine, sir.
You didn't come to meet the beginning, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll give you an overview before you move to the next one. So let us try
Okay.
and come up with an acronym. But what you are doing, are you following?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Osman, can you come up with an acronym? Mr. Aruna, Mr. Humphrey, can you come up with an acronym? Or we should stick to our part F.
Yeah, it's easy to remember.
It's easy to remember. Mr. Osman, are you okay?
FAT-P.
Part P, right? Okay.
Fat.
Fat P.
Yes, fat person.
Fat person.
Yes,
Okay. So where is our
fat
word?
person.
Fat
Person. F-A-R-T R
Fat P.
T and yes, that's fat person.
So we have what? Fairness and equity, accountability, rule of law, transparency, and what? Participation.
Yes, please.
So you decided to what? Change our word.
To fat person.
Okay. So fat person. So everything here. Okay, so let me do it this way to help you all. I'll send this one on the page for you to remember.
Okay.
So everything here is what? Under what? So let me delete this one for you to remember, right? So fat person, right?
Yes.
Fat person for you to remember. Tina, are you okay? Mr. Humphrey and the rest, are you okay?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, sir.
So we have part F, and then we also have what? Fat person. For element under what? Good governance. Element under good governance. Element. Is that how you spell element? Because it's been underlined.
Yes. E-L-E-M-E-N-T.
Okay.
That is it.
So I'm coming. Let me pause the video and then take your colleagues through. Okay, you let me have a recording of it so that if someone is listening, that is fine. So let me pause it instead. So we started with conceptual framework of accounting, public sector accounting, where we are done with that chapter. We've solved how do you call it? Past questions on it, and then we understand how the questions are being set. Today, we are tackling 20% marks of the ICAG manual, but our focus is to do just 10% of it. Saturday, you start with your IBSAS and IFRS class, so you meet your madam. We are looking at governance. If we say governance, we are looking at how an organization is being directed, managed, and held accountable. An organization cannot hold itself accountable unless we place people there to manage the entity for us. So if that is the case, we are looking at how those people that are being put there control the organization, direct it, and also hold people in it accountable. So that is all about what governance. We are looking at the structures and procedures by which an organization is being directed, controlled, and what managed. But here we are looking at it at what the public sector perspective. So if you're looking at it at the public sector perspective, then we are supposed to link it to what public sector. So when you come here, meaning of public sector governance, we are saying that it refers to the processes, the structures, and mechanisms through which a public sector entity is managed, directed, controlled, and held accountable. Now, so the key words here are what? Managed, directed, held accountable. We can also talk about what? Control. So these are the key words that are supposed to come in what? In your definition. And then we went ahead saying that we have good governance and then we have bad governance. Good governance, we are saying that the main objective of a public sector entity is to ensure that there is efficient service delivery. That is to provide services that are of benefit to the citizens or the public. So if we are talking about good governance, then it means that we are looking at that aspect of an organization where if you manage it and direct it, it is going to ensure that the goals of a public sector entity is being achieved. And then the bad governance is where the goals of the entity is not going to be achieved, because with the bad governance, everything is not going to be in place. There is going to be no management, there is going to be no control, there is going to be no direction. So everyone will misbehave. So that is the difference between good governance and then bad governance. So the only thing they can do here is to ask you about meaning of public corporate governance in the public sector. So you give them this definition. They will also ask you that they'll ask you to distinguish between good governance and bad governance in the public sector entity. Now, one trick is that this is to everyone. If they ask you about governance in the public sector and you write it. If you don't ask about good governance and bad governance, you can still write something about this under what the definition of public sector governance, and then you still get your full mark or something. Now, what we came to meet, we are saying that for you to be called a good governance entity, that is a public sector entity that is of good governance, it means you're supposed to meet some element. There are some things that if you see, you are supposed to see that this entity is what of good governance. We have rule of law. Rule of law means that you have to adhere to rules and regulations. So the entity says that you are supposed to close by 5 p.m. You close by 5 p.m. Entity says that pay overtime at this amount, you pay it at this amount. There should be some due process that you're supposed to follow. So once you are following the due process, we say that you are held. The rule of law element is in place. Transparency, we are saying that you should be open with your information. You should give the public access to what information. So when you go to the Ministry of Finance portal or Ministry of Finance portal, you realize that some of the what economic policy or some of the public sector policies are being what published there. So that is transparency. And then the typical example is the budget that we read today, the Minister of Finance, Dr. Ato Forson read today. You realize that at the end of the day, he has shared this one, the PDF of the budget. That is what transparency. There is an openness and accessibility of what government information to the public. That is transparency. And then we have accountability. If you say accountability, you are holding someone accountable for their actions and inactions. The person is supposed to come and answer to certain questions. Why you spend this amount? Why in the budget you said that do it this way, but you decided not to do it? I hope you understand. That is that.
Yes.
And then we also have participation. We have participation. So the participation, you are saying that for you to be of an entity that is of good governance, it means that in your decision making, you are supposed to ensure that you involve all stakeholders, you bring all stakeholders on board when you are performing your duties. We have fairness and equity. Fairness and equity, you are saying that in delivery of public sector resources, you are supposed to be fair. You shouldn't be biased. If it is opportunities, if it is services, if it is government programs like Agenda 111, send it to all the districts. Like the big push, send all the big push projects to the 16 regions that we have in Ghana. You should be fair and what there should be equity distribution of resources. And then ethical governance. We also have efficiency and effectiveness. You are supposed to provide public sector that is of quality. And at the end of the day, you are supposed to ensure that you are going to optimize what resources. You are going to provide services that are very good, but you are not going to spend a lot of money on it. That is what efficiency and what effectiveness. Ethical conduct. You are supposed to follow the principles, the guidelines, the practices, ethical code of conduct that is being governed by the entity. So when you come to ICAG, you have ethical guidelines like integrity, professional competence and due care, professional behavior and confidentiality. For you to be a good governance entity or an entity that is being governed well, you are supposed to ensure that you uphold to your ethical conduct. And then the other one is what strategic vision and planning, risk management, and then continuous improvement. When you say continuous improvement, it means that you are supposed to assess your current performance. You check if everything is in place. You do evaluation of your performance. If there is a need for you to provide training or remedial actions, you provide remedial actions to your employees for them to improve on. Risk management. For you to be a good governance entity, you have to be able to identify risks that are associated with the entity, come up with remedial actions to mitigate the risk, and also put things in place to ensure that the risks are being managed well. That is all. So we said that one thing about Flourish Professional Institute is that mostly we come up with what? We come up with acronyms for you to remember what you are learning. So when you take the element of good governance, we have an acronym called Part F. Part F. So Part F will stand for what? Participation. A will stand for accountability. R will stand for rule of law. T will stand for what? Fairness, and C will stand for transparency. F will stand for what? Fairness and equity. Where you had your colleague saying that he's also going to use fat person to remember the element of good governance. Any question?
No, sir.
Madam, any question? Madam Tina? Tina, can you hear me? You are muted.
Yes, hello. Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me, right? So do you understand?
I'm okay.
Okay.
Yes, please, and
Can you proceed?
yes, please, we can.
Eric, are you there?
Yes, sir. I can
Okay.
hear you, sir.
Are you okay? Mr. Ampri, Haruna,
Yeah, I'm okay.
Mr. Ampri, are you there?
We are okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Haruna, are you there? I think he's not online. Or
Your
okay.
screen, the screen has paused.
Yes, okay, sure. So can we resume?
Yeah, we can resume. We are there now.
Okay. So now there should be a difference between governance in the public sector and in the private sector. Governance in the public sector and the private sector. When they ask you, you are going to do this topic, I think the first lecture or something, you do this topic, or maybe moving forward, you come to understand the difference between public sector entity and the private sector entity. Now, with the public sector entity and the private sector entity, always with the, how do you call it, with the differences, you are only supposed to know how to differentiate between public sector entity and then, how do you call it, private sector entity. So how do you differentiate it? you can talk about objective and stakeholders. What are the objectives of what? A public sector entity. The objective is to provide what? Promote the welfare of society. That is to ensure that you provide what? Efficient service delivery, right? But when you go to the private sector, they are maximizing the shareholders' worth or profitability of what? The shareholders. That is what? That is the objective of what? Public sector entity. I hope you understand. That is the objective of what? A public sector entity. That is the objective of a public sector entity. And then we also have what? We also have stakeholders. So once you talk about the public sector, you realize that the public sector reports or they are accountable to what? Numerous stakeholders. We can talk about what? Taxpayers, you can talk about citizens, you can talk about donor agencies and the rest. But when you come to what? When you come to the private sectors are they are only accountable to what? Their shareholders, the owners of the entity. I hope you understand. The next one is what? Regulation and oversight. So the public sector, they are subjected to what? Extensive regulations, and they are being governed by what? There is oversight by what? The government bodies, regulatory bodies, and then what? Other entities. I hope you understand. But when you come to the what? The private sector, you realize that though they are also regulated, but it is not as extensive as compared to the private sector. The public sector. Do you understand? So
Yes.
in the public sector and then the private sector, when you are looking at the differences in terms of their governance, you use the word the objective and stakeholders. So objective, what are the objective of a public sector? The public sector entity is to what? Provide efficient service delivery to ensure that the whole society gets their everything that the society is looking for, the services that the society is looking for. They look for it. They look if indeed everything is provided. The private sector, what is the mandate or objective of the private sector? The only objective is what? Profitability. They want to improve on their profitability. When you come to financial management, you are going to learn about what? Stakeholder management, maximizing shareholders what? So it means that they are supposed to improve what? The stake of what? The shareholders in the company. I hope you understand.
Yes.
And the regulation and oversight. So in the public sector, you realize that you're under extensive regulations, like use this act. When it is procurement, use the procurement act to go and then dispose of your stores. If it is how do you call it, Electricity Company of Ghana, you are being governed by this act. And then oversight, we have regulatory bodies that they always provide oversight to it. Like we have GRA, we have how do you call it, minerals commissions, and there are those regulatory bodies. They will go around and check that your practices are good. But when you come to the private sector it is less extensive as compared to what? As compared to the public sector. Do you understand?
Yes.
In the public sector too, or one of the topics you can also talk about under the difference between the public sector and private sector is decision making. So decision making under the public sector involves multiple stakeholders. Decision making, and it includes elected officials, advisory bodies, and citizens. Decision making. For you to even come up, for the minister to even say that we are abolishing COVID-19 levy, there was a need for him to what? Consult multiple stakeholders. You realize that he even went to Takoradi Market to consult what? To consult the what? Market women over there. That is decision making in the public sector. It is not only done by what? It is not only done by this one. How do you call it? The minister alone. The minister is supposed to what? Ensure that he is going to involve multiple stakeholders. And then the private one, the only one is what? You are supposed to look at what? Your market market competitors, and then decision making is mainly driven by what? Mainly driven by your market competitive pressures. You look at what the profitability motive and everything, and then decision is what mainly influence. Decision is always under the influence of what, or the direction of what, owners. When you come to the public sector, you realize that we make decisions based on what our policy objectives, based on what political consideration and what democratic processes. So you're going to say that you are going to do the push agenda. I don't know if it is correct. Is it agenda? Is it the push agenda or what? It is called the push agenda, right? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Is it the push agenda? Mohammed's program, what is the name?
Big push.
Big push.
Yes,
So
big
big push. So you realize that decision making is supposed to be centered in the public sector. Decision making is supposed to be centered based on what our policy objectives and political consideration and democratic processes. You are saying that you are going to do big push. You cannot take decision as Minister of Finance to see that appropriating this amount to this sector. You are supposed to involve multiple people, multiple stakeholders in your decision making. And then accountability and transparency. The public sector, they are accountable to what? Citizens, government, and even external stakeholders. But the private sector, they are also what? Accountable to only what? Their owners. I hope you understand. Accountability in the public sector include audits, parliamentary inquiries, and public scrutiny. I hope you understand. When it comes to transparency, I told you from the beginning that transparency is what? Being open and then making your information accessible. When you go to the public sector, it is a key element there for you to what? For you to always ensure that you do something like that. So accountability and decision making, it is very key in the public sector. That is accountability. Public sector accountable to what? Multiple stakeholders. Example, government, parliament, how do you call it? Citizens, donor, supporters, and the rest. Because you are supposed to be accountable to donor supporters because you look at the money that they give you, the resources they give you. If you're able to meet the requirement, they will give you another one. But with the private sector, you are not supposed to be accountable to any donor supporter. Everything is funded by the owners. So you are being accountable towards owners. You also become transparent to only the owners. You don't become transparent to the general public. Please, do you understand?
Yes.
So here, you also have an acronym called RODA. RODA. So let me name this one. Let me name this one and see. We have RODA. So RODA is going to be 2. RODA.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please, can I ask a question?
Please come in.
Okay. For the first point, I saw objective and stakeholders. Can you separate them to be 2 points?
Yes, you
Objective
can
alone and
separate.
stakeholders alone.
You can separate them. That is if you are out of point. I hope you understand. That is if you are out of point.
Okay, sir.
Always try and then remember both. But if you are out of point, you can just say the stakeholders and objectives. You just only have to know that objective in the public sector is to ensure that it is going to promote the welfare of the society as a whole. That is to provide services for all the citizens to benefit from it. And then the stakeholders under the public sector, there are multiple stakeholders that the entity is supposed to, or the public sector is supposed to involve in terms of decision making and even in terms of accountability. So when you take the stakeholder, you can talk about what? Reporting. They report to multiple stakeholders. Decision making, they are supposed to ensure that they consider multiple stakeholders, and then you'll be good.
Very well.
Are you okay? So we have what is called RODA. We have what is called RODA. So RODA, let's come up with our, so this one is what? Regulation and what? Regulation and oversight. and oversight.
Yes.
We have what? Objective and what? Stakeholders, right?
Yes.
And stakeholders. Or you can just talk about objectives, right? And then this is what? Decision making.
You're making.
And then we have what? Accountability.
And transparency.
Transparency. Now, one thing, but let's bear in mind that I want to say something, so I'll say it right now. Let's bear in mind that our keyword is what? Ruda, right? Our keyword is Ruda.
Yeah.
Now, in public sector, if you are being asked to write anything and you don't even know the point, write transparency and accountability, and then make sure you're going to explain it to suit the question.
Okay.
I hope you understand. So transparency and accountability, they are very key in terms of public sector. Please, I hope you understand.
Yes.
Yes.
So Tina, I expect you to remember Rhoda. Rhoda is going to be your friend.
Good.
Yes, please.
Rhoda is going to be your friend. Mr. Osman, Rhoda is going to be your girlfriend.
Rhoda.
Rhoda is going to be your girlfriend. And
Okay.
then Mr. Ampre and the rest, Rhoda is going to be your colleague at the office. So once you remember Rhoda, you realize that you are talking about what differences between public sector governance and what private sector governance.
Private
Are you
sector.
okay?
Yes. Yes, please.
Are you okay?
Yes.
So let me state it here. Number 2 is what?
Rhoda.
Rhoda. So let me do. I'm coming. So this is differences between public sector governance and private sector. When we start the main classes, I'm going to use a writing board, so you won't have a challenge. I've gone for a trip, that is why I'm using the word. So let us name this one, the element number 1 instead. I hope you understand.
Yes.
So let us color this one to be what? Yellow, right? Let's bring our color for us to remember. I'm going to do this PDF and send it to you. So let's go to our third one. Are you okay? Can we move on?
Yes, please.
Tina, can we move
Oh,
on?
yes, we can move on.
Yeah.
So the next thing that you're going to look at on the public sector is called the 7 principles of public life in public sector and public sector governance. This one, I think it came November 2024, and then March 2025 or July 2025 to the repeated it. When this one comes, it is mostly 10 marks. And everything here, if they will ask you, it is going to be 10 marks. So you have to know. Now, we have the 7 principles. These are principles. And then we also call it the 7 principles of public life, also known as the Norland principles. Norland principles. Norland principles are applicable to individuals serving in the public in various capacities, including ministers, parliamentarians, governors, directors, chief executives, and professionals. These principles were first articulated by Lord Norland in May 1995 in the inaugural report of the Committee on Standards in Public Life, which he chaired. The principles serve as a foundation for ethical conduct and integrity in the public service, fostering trust and confidence in governance institutions and promoting good governance across all the sectors in the society. They are fundamental to all aspects of public life and include the following: So in examination, they can ask you to what? They can ask you to talk about or explain the Nolan's principle or 7 principles of what? Public life in the public sector governance. We also have a good acronym for this where you enjoy. So the first one is what?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Please go ahead.
It came in July date.
Yes, July.
This question.
Yes, I think when
Yeah.
you go to the November this one to November 2024, I think it came. I don't know if either this one or SIGA it came. So I'm sure this one too came. SIGA came and then this one too came. I think they had that night they were fortunate. They had 20 marks free from this side. So we have what is called selflessness. So this one too, we are looking at what? The 7 principles of what? 7 principles of public life in the public sector governance. We have selflessness. We have what is called integrity. We have objectivity. We also have accountability. We have openness. We have honesty, and then we have leadership. So selflessness, we are saying that those holding public office should make decisions solely in the public interest without seeking personal, financial, or material gain for themselves. So everything that we are doing here is what? Good governance. So if it is good governance, the Nolan principle or 7 principles of public life is saying that if you are a public officer, like a DCE, MCE, a CEO, a governor, if you are taking a decision, the decision is supposed to be in the interest of what? The public. You shouldn't even focus on your personal gains. You shouldn't focus on what? The financial gains that you are going to get. You shouldn't even think about the family benefit that you are going to get. So you are supposed to be what? Selflessness. Always put the public sector at first, like put them at first, and then don't think about your financial gain or material gain. The next thing is also integrity. When we say integrity, it means that you have to bring in the financial reporting standards that public sector servants are supposed to be what? Honest and straightforward in their dealings. So if you cannot remember the, how do you call it, public sector definition, you can bring what the private sector definition. So public office holders should avoid putting themselves in a situation where external individuals or organizations could influence their official duties through financial or other obligation. So integrity, you should be honest and straightforward in your dealings. If it is A, you say it is A. Objectivity, we are saying that you shouldn't be biased. So when you are a public office holder, in terms of your appointment, making appointments, in terms of you awarding contract, you shouldn't be biased. In terms of you providing resources to the various sectors, you shouldn't be biased. You should ensure that you're going to do it on merit base. You do it based on merit. You do it based on what? The policies of the entity. You shouldn't do it based on what? Favoritism, and it shouldn't come from what? Biases. Please, I hope you understand.
Yes.
We also have our accountability here. We have our friend accountability here. We are not going to talk about accountability because we are saying that hold the public officers accountable for their actions and inactions. That is it. We have openness. If we say openness, we are saying that public office holders should strive for transparency. So openness is always in relation to what? Is always in relation to what? Transparency. Because once you become open, means that you're also transparent. So the definition here is that once you talk about openness, you just have to see that a public sector entity, for you to be a good public sector entity or a good public sector entity governance, is supposed to ensure that they are going to strive for transparency in all their business decisions or in all their public sector decisions. So when you talk about openness, you are talking about you striving for transparency in all your decisions and actions. Whilst transparency will be for what? You being open and then making government information accessible to all citizens. So have you seen the difference? So difference for openness is saying that you should strive for transparency. You should be open. You should ensure that the public is going to have access to what? The information. Are you okay? Are you okay?
Yes.
And then you also have what is called honesty. So individual in the public office have an obligation to disclose any private interest related to their public sector duties and address conflict of interest in a manner that safeguards the public interest. So you are supposed to be honest. If you have any interest in the public sector entity, as an auditor, as a public sector governor, if you work with the, how do you call it, Ghana Audit Service, you are going to audit, let's say, AMA. Your wife is what? The MCE. Your wife is the, how do you call it, principal account holder there, the principal spending officer there. You draw the attention of the audit team that my wife is what? The DCE. So there's going to be some sort of what? Conflict of interest here. So that is honesty. I hope you understand. And then we have what is called leadership. If we say leadership, we are saying that public sector entity, the public sector office holders, they are supposed to demonstrate leadership by setting an example for their members to also follow. So that is that about the 7 pillars of what? 7 pillars of the Nolan principle, or 7 principles of what? Public life in the public sector governance. We have an acronym called LUCIA. 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 LUCIA for it. You have an acronym called what? LUCIA. LUCIA. So what are you looking at? The Nolan principles, right?
Yes.
Nolan principles. Or 7 what? Principles of what?
Principles. Public life.
Of public life. In the public sector. In what?
Public sector.
Sector governance. Are you okay?
Yes.
So we have what is called what? LUCIA. LUCIA. Let's start. We have what? Leadership. Objectivity. Hey, is it objectivity or openness?
Objectivity.
Well, objectivity is part.
Can be any of them.
Yes, can be any of them. Objectivity. We have openness.
Openness.
Is it correct? Yeah, openness.
Yes.
We have
selfness.
Selflessness.
Selflessness. Yes.
Please, it's not stakeholder. We have what? Integrity. Hey, integrity parliament spelling. We have
There's no R.
okay, integrity. We have accountability.
Accountability.
We have what? Honesty.
Honesty.
So this time around, we had this one betraying us. We had transparency betraying us. Transparency didn't come.
The openness.
Accountability and transparency.
Yes, so openness is in relation to
transparency.
But the point is not transparency. So transparency decided to deceive us this time around. You won't say anything to him. You won't say anything.
In their explanation for transparency, the openness,
yes,
they mentioned the word transparency there.
Yeah, transparency will come. That is, you are striving for what? You are striving for. So I think we are okay, right?
Transparency.
Yes.
I
Yes,
think
sir.
we are okay. We are okay. Now, let's move to a major important topic for us to discuss, and this is also part of what the syllabus. We have what is called what corporate social responsibility or social responsibility in the public sector. As an entity, you are supposed to be socially responsible. So if you say social responsible, we are saying that you are supposed to conduct your business in a way that you also regard yourself as part of the society. So if your practices are going to affect the society, you, the public sector entity, you are also supposed to know that it is going to reduce what your profit. I hope you understand. So always see yourself as part of what the society that you are operating in. So corporate governance, social corporate responsibility. You are saying that public sector entity, they are supposed to ensure that they are also going to be what you are going to operate responsibly, ethically, and socially responsibly by seeing to it that they are also part of what the society. Because
Okay. Now we
assuming
can picture.
assuming you are a construction firm and then dust is always affecting the community that you are operating in, do we think they are going to say something good about you? You are going to soil your reputation, right? So if that is the case, you're supposed to be socially what responsible. How do you become socially responsible? By always ensuring that you are going to water your environment. I hope you understand. Once you water your environment, you realize that the dust will not be going to what the communities. Are you practicing social responsibility here? Yes or no? If you water the environment to prevent the dust from getting to the society, are you practicing social responsibility here? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, yes,
So that is
yes.
social responsibility. So corporate social responsibility in the public sector encompasses the various elements aimed at ensuring that the public sector entity operates responsibly and ethically while contributing positively to the society. Now, we have some elements for what? Elements for the corporate social responsibility in what? In the public sector. And then we have what? Ethical governance. What is ethical governance? We have already talked about what? Ethical governance. The public sector entities should uphold high standards of ethics or ethical behavior in decision making. So if you're supposed to be what? If you're supposed to be an entity of integrity, you have to ensure that you have some code of ethics in place that is going to ensure that you are what you are behaving ethically, or there is some sort of what standards, ethical standard placed in you, ensuring that in your decision making you are going to uphold to those ethical rules. So that is what we can talk about integrity and the rest. So once you uphold to what those ethical standards, you realize that always there's going to be what accountability and transparency, right? There is also going to be fairness in all aspects of what governance. We have sustainability, resource management. Public sector entities have a responsibility to manage natural and financial resources sustainably to meet the needs of current and what future generation. So sustainability resource management, the only thing that you have to do here is to bring the definition of sustainability. When you go to the ICAG manual, you will see the definition of sustainability, and you realize that whatever you've stated here is sustainability. Sustainability management is saying that you are supposed to ensure that you're going to conduct your practices in a way that is going to meet the needs of the current generation without what compromising the future generation's needs. I hope you understand. That is sustainability. That is sustainability. That is sustainability. And then stakeholder engagement. We are saying that there should be effective stakeholder engagement. All citizens, all community leaders, all businesses, all organizations are supposed to be what? They are supposed to be on board in terms of decision making. And then promotion of social equity and inclusion. So social equity. You are supposed to what? Ensure that there is no inequalities and discrimination in everything that you do. And then there should be inclusivity. Is it the correct word? Inclusivity or something. If you are how do you call it? You are going to make decision making. You're supposed to bring everyone on board. Socially what equitable. You are supposed to bring everyone on board in terms of your decision making and everything. Yes, so that is all. And then community development and investment. So one element of corporate social responsibility is what? Community development. So you are supposed to come up with structures. You can help the entity in terms of what? Hospitals, education facilities, boreholes, and the rest. So it means that one element is what? You ensuring that there is community development and investment. You won't be able to help the community, but assuming the community is having a football club, the community come to you that, oh, we have a football club. We have thought of it that you are an entity that operates in our community. You want us to support us with what? 1,000 Ghana cedis because we are coming to start our league season. For you to be what? Socially responsible, you are supposed to provide them with the funds. If you won't even be able to help them, you can provide them with water. I hope you understand. With that, you are contributing what? You are contributing to community development and are also investing in the what? In the community. Do we agree?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
another element of corporate social responsibility is also promotion of human rights and labor standards. So you have to what? Respect human rights. A typical example is that you cannot come from China and then you come and employ Ghanaians, and at the end of the day, instead of you paying them according to the labor standards, you pay them according to your own rate. It is not done anywhere. You are supposed to promote and then respect human rights as well. You have to respect human rights. You have to uphold the human rights and labor practices in Ghana. I hope you understand. That is it. And then you also have promotion of what? Good governance. So if you say promotion of good governance, you are saying that governance is a way of which what an entity is governed, directed, and controlled. So how do you promote good governance? By ensuring there is transparency, by ensuring there is rule of law, respect for what democratic principle, accountability, and the rest. So you can ensure good governance by bringing the what elements of what good governance in your definition. I hope you understand. You realize that we
Yes.
have accountability here. We have transparency here. We have rule of law here. We have respect for what? Democratic principles. Though we don't have democratic principles here, but you can subject it to one of what? One of the elements that you talked about. So for you to promote good governance, it means that you are supposed to ensure that you promote what? Accountability and transparency and the rule of law. You ensure that always you are going according to the rules and regulations. You are going to hold your people accountable so that if GRE is supposed to come on board, you realize that you are operating ethically. You are supposed to be transparent in your dealings. So if I construct, always have been using a construction company. If a construction company, you are supposed to ensure that you become transparent by providing information on the walls, that you provide those dangerous information. That here, if you come here, there is danger. If you come here, like as a driver, you are not supposed to drive more than 50 something something or 40 something something. You put those things in place, like you become transparent towards the people coming to the site. I hope you understand. By making them have access to what information. You cannot just paste the warnings in in the offices. The warnings are supposed to be on the notice board for everyone to benefit. Do you understand?
Yes, we
And then
understand.
the key word that you use here is S square P cube. 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 So what are you looking at? Corporate element of what? Element of what? Corporate social responsibility
In the
in,
public sector.
the public sector.
Public sector.
So we have what? Our S square. I'm
Yes.
trying to find a way that I don't know how it is going to be. Let's do it this way. S square P
P cube.
P cube. So the cube is supposed to be at the top, and then this one is supposed to be at what? At the top as well.
Top.
So you realize that we have promotion of good governance. We also have promotion of human rights and labor standard, and then we have promotion of what? Social equity. So that gives us what? PQ. So we have promotion of what? If you don't even remember anything, you can talk about what? You have to know that good governance itself falls under what? Corporate social responsibility. So promotion of what? Good governance, promotion of what? Human rights and labor standards. Even if you don't understand, even if you don't remember everything, try and remember one point. That is promotion of human rights or promotion of labor standards, and the promotion of what? Social equity, and then what? Inclusivity, inclusion. So you can just remember them by saying that P cube, S square, what? P cube. And then don't forget to talk about what? Stakeholder engagement. Okay, you say stakeholder engagement is even going to be under what? The S square. So one thing that you're also supposed to remember here is what? You talk about what? Your community development. I hope you understand. So you have stakeholder engagement, which is serving as 1x, and then you have what? Sustainability management, sustainability resource management here. I hope you understand. So let's start by saying that we have stakeholder engagement. We have stakeholder engagement. We have sustainability resource management. Sustainability resource management. And then this is S square, right? This is S square. Let's go towards P cube. P cube, we have promotion.
Social equity.
I'm coming, please. Promotion. So promotion. We promote what? Good governance. Right? We promote what? Human rights.
Yes.
We promote what? Labor standards.
Social equity.
We promote what? Promotion. Social what?
Equity.
And inclusion. And then we have what? Our community what? Community development. Are you okay? So you realize that there are some key ones that you remember. The key ones that you remember under even if you don't know anything, you remember corporate social responsibility from your HHS all the way to university, all the way to your work field. Social corporate responsibility, always you are talking about what? Community development, ensuring community development, right? You also ensure that any decision that you are going to take that is going to affect the environment, you involve the chiefs and the rest, right? So stakeholder engagement. I hope you understand. Then you talk about what? The remaining ones. You talk about the remaining ones. Have we done something good today?
Yes.
Have we done something today? So
A lot.
Yes.
if this chapter is supposed to come to the exams, this one too, you are going to get what? You are going to get 10 marks from here. And then the good thing is that we have Rhoda, we have part F, we have Rhoda, we have Lucia, we have what?
S square PQ.
P cube.
PQ.
Is that all?
Yes.
So if that is all, yes. So you realize that this one, we are talking about what? We are talking about elements of good governance, difference between what? Difference between private and public. This one is about what?
7 principles.
7 principles or Nolan principles. And then this one is
Yes.
about corporate governance. So let's,
Social
okay, I think I've already indicated everything for you here. So that is that for today. So have you seen that everything is made easy at Flourish Professional Institute? The only
Yes.
thing that you have to know is what? You have to know is your, how do you call it? Your keywords. The only thing you have to know is your
Acronyms.
acronyms.
Mm.
Your acronyms. The only thing that you have to know is your acronyms. Mr. Humphrey, are you online?
Yes, I'm here.
Sir, please, you understand
Yes, sir, I'm okay.
everything.
Yes, sir.
I've given you 20 marks, so if it comes in the examination, you have to kill it for me.
Sir, you don't have a problem, sir.
Yes, sir. Tina, have you learned something today? Mr. Aruna, Mr. Albert.
Their mark is off.
Yeah, the marks are off. So
Yes.
today, Mr. Aruna left early. I'm sure maybe he didn't have a stable network. He's not online. Mr. Eric, are you okay?
Hey, I'm okay, sir.
Okay. Mr. Osman,
Yes, sir.
please, are you okay?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
Mr. Albert, Tina, are you okay?
Mark is off.
I think they will be in car going home, or maybe they are very busy. So I think so. I can pause the video and then we have our personal discussions. Then we end the call.
Okay.